Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson along with Andrew Bone. Breaking news is the number one running back in the country has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here with Andrew Bone to break it all down. Bone, obviously, another early Christmas present for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Absolutely. Recruiting's pretty wild, and we certainly didn't think, at least heading into this week, that Camar Wheaton was even still a possibility for the Crimson Tide. We talked about him, last week about how he had reached out to Alabama on Tuesday night before the early signing period, and the plan for him was to go ahead and sign last week and then announce his commitment this week. Well, guess what? He didn't sign, and nobody really knew that. Nobody in the media, even some of the coaches didn't know. I heard on Monday and Tuesday that Alabama didn't even know that he had not signed. They just figured that he had already signed and that it wasn't going to be for them. So the assumption was that he had signed to Oklahoma, but like I said, we hear that he had not signed, and there started becoming a little bit more chatter throughout the next couple of days, and obviously Alabama was open arms. They continued to talk to him. I think that it was more from Wheaton's side. I think Alabama really wasn't sure what he was going to do, and I think Camar and his camp had reached out to Alabama, and there was a lot of interest there. And obviously, watching Najee Harris in the SEC championship game and what he was able to do, that certainly attracts a lot of top running backs and a lot of top players on the offensive side of the ball. As we saw, Alabama's recruiting class, what they signed last week. Now you add Camar Wheaton. I mean, you have an unbelievable group of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Look at the quarterback, Jalen Milroe, Rivals 100 quarterback in offense. Now you have Camar Wheaton, number one running back in the country. Wide receiver, 4 Rivals 100 wide receivers, offensive line. 4 commitments, including 3 guys who are Rivals 100 players. Tight end Robbie Oates. So got a really good offensive class, maybe one of the best offensive classes Alabama's ever signed.
Here with Andrew Bone talking about Camar Wheaton, the number one running back in the country, has committed with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here with Bone to break it all down. Bone, as we dig kind of more into this, Jeff Banks played a key role in the recruitment. Let's talk about him and kind of the job that Alabama's done in the state of Texas. I mean, just as you said, I mean, you talk about the Brockemeyer brothers, you talk about Jalen Milroe, you talk about Kendrick Blackshire, all these guys from the Lone Star State. Alabama now adds the number one player in the country from the running back position, but also the number one player from the state of Texas in Camar Wheaton.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly an elite, football player and somebody that, Coach Banks has had a, very strong relationship with throughout the entire process. This is a guy who visited Tuscaloosa, last June 2019. And, they just maintained that relationship. Jeff Banks did a tremendous job recruiting him, maintaining that relationship, along with Charles Huff, Alabama running backs coach, who also recruited him as well. So, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Coach Banks, especially in the state of Texas. I mean, this is, a big commitment for him. Also adding, Jalen Milroe and Kendrick Blackshire. He's also the lead recruiter on guys like Christian Leary, Ajay Hall, Robbie Oates. So, Jeff Banks, we talked about, Charles Huff a lot this year about how he could potentially be the, Rivals.com National Recruiter of the Year. But, Jeff Banks is right up there too. Now that, he just landed, 5-star running back Camar Wheaton, the number one running back in the country.
I mean, it's a tremendous class, obviously, and I mean, there's some chatter that Jaeden Roberts could also be, a guy that also commits on Christmas Day. I mean, and another prospect out of Texas. So, kind of going back to that, I mean, what's kind of the latest on Jaeden Roberts, and are you optimistic that Alabama gets a Christmas present on Christmas Day?
Yeah, I mean, this could be a big week for Alabama. They had a great week last week, obviously signing 24 players, and can they potentially add 2 more this week? I mean, they just got Camar Wheaton, Jaeden Roberts out of North Shore High School out of the Houston area, big time target, for Alabama. And we really weren't talking about him too much. He was one of these guys that had committed to Auburn. Nothing was really talked about regarding him, until probably about a month or 2 ago. We started talking about him a little bit more as maybe a possibility for Alabama. Alabama was kind of in the market for at least one more not at least, but one more offensive lineman in this class. And there was some chatter that Marius Mims, 5-star that signed with Georgia, was still in communication with Alabama, which he was, but there was never really any thought that he was going to end up, flipping from Georgia to Alabama. But I think at the same time, Alabama was kind of like, what's going to happen here? Let's kind of wait and see what happens with him. But I think with Jaeden Roberts, there was a lot of communication there between his side and Alabama when Gus Malzahn decommitted. You get so used to saying decommitted these days, but when Gus Malzahn was fired from Auburn, Jaeden Roberts, a week or two later decided to reopen his recruitment, and that was last Wednesday. And there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not he went ahead and signed. I guess we'll either know that on Friday when he announces that decision, or he may possibly wait to announce that in February if that was true. But I do think Alabama ends up landing his commitment. If Roberts ends up committing to Alabama, that's the 5th offensive lineman, and he would also be the 7th player from the state of Texas in Alabama's recruiting class. I mean, that would be just absolutely unbelievable for, with what Alabama's been able to do in the state of Texas. I mean, it's not like they're just going after, scrubs or, somebody's leftovers. These are, premier top end type players that are, you have, guys like Tommy Brockermeyer, Jalen Milroe, Kendrick Blackshire, James Brockermeyer, JoJo Earl, Camar Wheaton, and now, if Jaeden Roberts ends up committing, I mean, what an unbelievable class they were able to put together just from the state of Texas. So Alabama fans have to be excited about, Alabama's recruiting efforts in the Lone Star State.
Going back to Camar Wheaton, I just wanted to get your take on the type of player he is. I mean, you look at right now his Rivals.com profile, 6'1", 190 pounds. Play his highlights in just a second. Alabama clearly has, demonstrated that they have the top running backs in the country from year to year. And I mean, even from the young freshman that we got to see this year, Jason McClellan looks like he's going to be someone special. You have Najee Harris, you have Brian Robinson, who are seniors. We don't know. I would assume that Najee leaves, but, we've talked about Brian Robinson potentially coming back. Trey Sanders, was injured in a car accident. And then you have Roydell Williams as well. But what does Camar Wheaton bring in terms of an overall talent? Do you feel he's all-purpose back? Is he someone who's kind of a scat back? What's your take on his playing style?
Yeah, I think he's an all-purpose back. He's a very electric runner. Very elusive, has great vision. He's got great speed. Has that breakaway speed. So, can he be a Kenyon Drake type player in Alabama's offense? I think he can be. I think that he's just kind of a game changer. He's certainly somebody that is the number 1 running back in the country for a reason. I don't know if this is a really deep running back year in 2021, but this is the best guy in the country, and he comes from the state of Texas, obviously a football hotbed, and he's gonna be ready to play once he gets to Tuscaloosa. I mean, this is a very exciting football player to watch, and Alabama has a tremendous backfield right now, and this just adds another punch to the mix.
All right, you check out the class. I mean, the class is completely stacked. You can read more about Camar Wheaton back at BamaInsider.com. But again, Alabama fans continue to enjoy this wave of success as Alabama not only winning on the football field, also winning recruiting-wise as they continue to be the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the country. Here with Andrew Bone of BamaInsider.com, I'm Kyle Henderson. Read more about Camar Wheaton back at BamaInsider.com. Tremendous pickup landing Camar Wheaton. We'll talk to you soon back on BamaInsider.com.